Welcome to the modern age of Pachacuti, and I'm happy to announce that we have unlocked practically every single civilization to choose from except for the French. We probably didn't get enough wine or whatever. Anyway, I am planning to go Meiji Japan for this game. As you've noticed, we were on an archipelago map, and there's a lot of naval interaction and warfare to go about. And with the Mikasa, I hope to show what makes this unit so special and potentially some of the blurbs that happen when you lose your first Mikasa and how that can be beneficial to you. Now, last time with the Himiko videos, I mentioned a lot about the legacy path options, and even in the exploration age in the last video of this game, I talked about the legacy path options. And I don't want every single video to devolve into the same routines. I want to talk about the holistic nature of a game like Civ. You know, there's a whole bunch of things going on, a whole bunch of different options and decisions to make, and not all of them can necessarily be expressed in a simple 20-minute video. So instead of talking about the legacy paths of this game, we're going to try and talk about some of the other things. For example, the government. There are three options of government here. There's the culture and science one. And while science is very important, we can get that other ways. The culture is important at first to get the natural history unlock, and then from there the ideology. And it is useful, but I never think this is the most important thing. Neither is, I think, this. This is perhaps the weakest, especially in the third age. I find war gets considerably easier per age that you go through. The hardest age for war, absolutely by a mile, substantially, is the first age. That is when you don't have strong enough leveled up commanders. That is when your units, are relatively weak. You have to really outplay the AI tactically to get advantages, and often they can just end up with a barrage of units and you just can't go through. And really your best bet is to try and kill enough units so that you can get something in a peace deal. Every age after that, military and all that becomes far easier. Now, whether the game wants to try and recalibrate it to make it even more difficult, I really hope not, because in this age we're going to have to take a lot of cities because we have a military objective to do that. I care most about bureaucratic monarchy. The buildings you obviously don't get access to in the previous age are really expensive. They even made an update recently where things like the rail station, the factory, they're way more expensive now. They can be like 1,500 gold on online speed. That means that gold is absolutely paramount. We're going to be making more gold in this age than ever before, but that doesn't mean that we won't want every bit of it to make ports, rail stations, factories, you name it, for all that economic. And not just that, having launch pads and aerodromes for science, buying explorers for culture, which get extremely expensive, as I mentioned before. Gold is paramount. So for me, bureaucratic monarchy is kind of a non-arguable choice to make. In addition, we have science. And in the beginning, all these options can be viable. It's not like some of the other trees in some of the other ages, like piety, that I always beeline to first in the exploration age in culture. There are certain ages, certain paths that are rather linear, that are rather like, okay, this is how at least for me, how I like to play the game and how I know I'm going to get the most out of my game and how I'm going to proceed with the game. But there are certain things that are still kind of, I guess, more enjoyable in some ways because they offer more equivalency in terms of the options presented. If you feel like your science is going to struggle, if you're not going to have enough, it makes sense to go academics first. You get it really powerful because the modern buildings are really powerful. Schoolhouse, and you get access to Oxford University. This can be a really nice way to power out the science so you can get to rocketry and do all that quick enough. If, however, you would rather focus on production, it is possible that the military academy and the Red Fort and the defense fortification, especially if you're going military, is where you want to go. But for us, I think we want to focus on gold and resource allocation. The gold path is effectively what this is. You do get access to ironwork, so it's not entirely just gold. You do get some production as well. But with the ability to make the port earlier, the ability to get those resources earlier, if you have an abundance of resources, also you can get more resources as merchants. If you want to befriend people, you can make trades with merchants. Like I say, there are various ways whereby the benefit from the government is not as needed as the gold. This is kind of the direction you want to go in. And really, this sort of stuff, this right here, very much varies from game to game. We have an archipelago map in this game. We have more ocean tiles, with more coastal tiles particularly, I should say, for ports to benefit from. We're going to want to make a whole bunch of, factories, because we want to be able to connect those factories, to connect those rail stations, because you need, in an archipelago map, the ability to connect more of your settlements, because more of them are on different patches of land separated by ocean, which only a port can connect to. And all these sort of things mean that ports have arguably a higher value in an archipelago map than they do, say, in a Pangea map, when there's going to be less locations for them, as well as less need for them. Very simple point here, but one that's quite important, and something that I think increases the enjoyment of the game. We have here a trader, and of course we want to re-establish those alliances with our three friends. First and foremost, we don't mind having a couple enemies. We need to take some settlements in this age anyway. So let's go to Hujungaluch. But look how long away it is. I mean, Jesus, that's 15 turns away. If this is the first couple of ages, we would even need to buy this somewhere else and not produce it, like maybe in our Pearl City. We don't need to worry about those 15 turns that are doing nothing, just getting to somewhere. We can just press confirm and go back to the place. And all of a sudden we have a trader already. Now, technically that doesn't make much sense whatever age you do if you're talking about it from a, realistic perspective. Nobody, not in the modern age do you have access to teleportation. We're not Star Trek, beam me up Scotty, that doesn't exist. But in the modern age you get to basically do that. And for no time at all, 15 turns, man, it's a huge amount of time. We immediately get our friendship with Xerxes. It's accepted. We're one step closer to being able to make a nice war, having friends to back us up. And then we can go to war comfortably. Whereas if I'm waiting 15 turns, I've already got my ideology. I want to start the war already. Maybe one of these two are allied with one of these, and then all of a sudden I have less friendship or whatever. That can happen. It's happened before. It's something I really hope that they change in future games. I really would like it so that merchants can be just immediately applied to the target destination city, just like that. But at the moment, it's only the modern age that allows you to do that. As I love to explore the map, and from exploring the map, the next age you have all the information you need, and look how many city-states we have already soothed. What is that, 10, 12? I don't know. And because of that, we have got so much culture that we have fully maxed out every single boost. And of course, because we also have science city-states, we get more tech. And so things tend to synergize and spiral together. As you get more city-states, you get more of their benefits, but you also get the other benefits, which includes more technologies and so on and so forth. It's just a lovely sort of 1-2 punch. And look how much of the tech tree we've already researched. We're already at flight, and it's only turn 19. As you join us trying to take down Ruma... Oh, God! Well, what on earth just happened? It looks like we just lost the Mikasa. Let's have a look at this. We have ourselves a new blurb to read. An unsinkable force. The explosion that brought the dreadnought to the seafloor, unexpected and deadly. But the Mikasa has been raised from the ocean floor and built anew, refusing to be sunk again. That's right, when you lose your first Mikasa unit, you actually get a benefit for it. It's like the game, encouraging you and spurring you on to victory. Focus on funding these ships. You can get plus 15% production towards training more of them, or allocate more work to the shipyard. And I must say, this plus 15% goal towards purchasing is a little obscure, because it doesn't mean purchasing anything. That would be amazing. I think it just means purchasing more Mikasa. So if you can go to a particular, our original capital, where we can actually purchase Mikasas. You can see that they are 460, right? And the cruiser is 420 Blazoned, okay? So if we were to change and choose the allocate more workers, it would allow us, instead of 460, to down push both of them at 420. Blaze it. Hell yeah. Well, it certainly got blazoned when it got sunk by our opponent. But it's just something to bear in mind, that the particular nuances of cultures can often give you some interesting opportunities. As we continue to do battle here with Benny, I'm pleased to announce that we are making really good progress in all our objectives and are already over halfway in our military game. In this section, I'm going to try and discuss something that I hope would be on the list of things that for Axis need to consider improving. So, having got rid of that unit, we can march our land ship, whatever, to this tile here. And you can see this tile is particularly listed with this hex saying, stronghold. Okay, so we take the stronghold. Great, and now it's changed to our colors. So we have the stronghold. And of course, you know, like, would make sense, the actual city center would need to be captured too. So we've captured this and we captured that, as they say, listed with those lovely text messages that we get. Why isn't this captured now? None of these tiles, even though they have walls in them, have this symbol. You would think that, for clarity's sake, this symbol would help define what tiles need being taken in order to capture a particular settlement. Unfortunately, it can be incredibly frustrating, kind of remembering, did I go on this tile? Did I go on this tile? Did an enemy get spawned like the one you just saw, and even this one that we need to deal with? In the midst of me moving onto this tile, who has control over these tiles right now? Like, my tank was here, and clearly had control of this tile. Did it have control of this tile? Did it have control of this tile? And none of that is clear, and I really hope in future, like many improvements, that this sort of symbolism, which we could easily use to define, okay, these are the tiles that still remain, these are the tiles that need being taken, these are the tiles that don't necessarily need being taken because they don't really count towards conquering the settlement, are more clearly listed than are shown here. Everything's hotting up, it's turn 28, and we're just over the halfway point in our economic legacy path. In order to make sure that we can get over the edge as quickly as possible, how about we use that specialist district that Meiji Japan has access to? That's right, the Jukugyo and the Jinko. You can see here that the Jinko is a base gold building, +5, +1 for additional gold constructibles, and +1 for wonders, and that the Jukugyo is an adjacent production building for coast and wonders. Now, there isn't really the perfect position for this, but making the Zaibatsu will allow us +1 resource assigned to that settlement, which just so happens that we have a couple of resources that we'd really like to be able to add to Tokyo and Tikal. If we go further down here, let's maybe take off the towns. Down here respectively. So if we can apply a Jukugyo, Jinkyo, Zaibatsu quarter to each of these cities, then we can use our last remaining factory resources. Now, in an ideal game, nothing's ever ideal in Civ, but with the trade, it would be nice to be able to get more factory resources, but as you can see, we don't have really any options for that. We have a city-state that provides us some supportive military-based resources and some, regular kind of resources. And here we have empire resources here, and nothing to do with factories. So we're going to work with what we've got. So, with our money, we can, I would say, maybe this tile, the 8. Yeah, that seems pretty decent. We'll go put it here, adjacent to the wonder, after all. All right, and also what's really nice is it kind of changes the illustration, the aesthetics of the tile to match more of the unique quarter, the Zaibatsu, the +1 golden production buildings in adjacent districts as well, which is nice. But yeah, and then if we add the same thing to Tikal, which is a much smaller place. Yeah, okay. Well, I was worried for a second that we wouldn't have a proper place for it, but the temple can be overbuilt, so we can just put it there, I guess. We want to be buying this. Okay. There you have it. We'll probably find space for more of these specialist districts. Would be nice if we get more resources at some point to be able to fill up these tiles. There it is. We can make the most of our remaining economic game plan. So throughout this playthrough, we've been demonstrating all manner of very strange bugs, from capitals not connected to their networks to all sorts of things, but this might be the most peculiar. Here we have Oxford University that we built a little time ago, but we still have certain tiles we want to place around it, districts we want to be able to buff and incorporate. And we don't have very many. We have the science district so far made, a couple of ageless buildings, the military academy, the tenement. Well, you know, we could be putting down, you know, the gold buildings maybe, or maybe we want to put the gold building there, the stock exchange. But we could be putting down, you know, the happiness buildings, the culture buildings, you know, the opera house, the museum, and so on. But then when we go to our production queue, you can see that the only thing we can build is defensive fortifications and open-air museum. Even though this clearly is available tile, this is an available tile, and even these are as well, even though you may think, oh, an ally's unit's on it, so you can't build one of units on it. Yeah, well, don't even pay mind to that, even though you can, because it's an ally, not an enemy. Don't even pay mind to it. Why can't I build on these two tiles, right? These should be perfectly fine to build on. Nobody's on that. And yet, if we view hidden, we have all these buildings that we want to make, and it says no suitable locations available, which basically renders this entire city significantly obsolete and useless. Like, we can't generate the kind of city that we'd want out of it because most of the tiles, half these tiles, you know, and whatnot, are just not even usable. I cannot begin to explain how or why this happened, what triggered it, what moment. It's a very strange bug, and I would like it to be looked at. I don't know if you've experienced it too, but hey, it's there. It's something to watch out for. In a turn, we'll be able to make a peace deal with him, and if we can get one more territory from him for doing that, we will have finished our military game. Also, in the next turn, as we're about to pass it, there it is, view details. Win an economic victory, players must first complete the modern economic legacy path, which we just did. It grants us a great banker, and then we need to send the great banker all across the world in order to win an economic victory. Alright, so let's see if we can make that peace deal with him. Yeah, we can take anything. Point is this. So, to win a military victory, players must complete 3 steps, which, you know, there is several steps, different amount of steps, depending on the type of victory you're going for. Of course, we're going for all of them. Modern military legacy path must be completed, then the Manhattan Project Wonder needs to be made, and then the Operation Ivy project. And after a whopping 50 turns, we finally have every single legacy path victory condition set. We have our great banker. He has gone to every other capital aside from currently in Ada Lovelace's city of Karakoram, ready to finish that off. But of course, that's not how we're going to actually finish the game. But we also have Tokyo, the capital. It is 1 turn away from crude spaceflight. We have Bach, the original capital, that managed to do Operation Ivy. And we have Athenai, which we took basically for free off a peace deal, which you can do with these AI because they are still silly. The game's still working on that for World's Fair. If we have a look at our stats, you can see we already over double of the factory resources because I don't bother to switch them out once that is kind of locked in, that's it. We took a few more territories than perhaps we needed. We're finishing a space race, you can't really go past that. And we got 1 more artifact. The legacy points, we have 38 points, over double any of our competitors. Yeah. Now, chances are it will probably finish with the military victory, because I believe that was the first one that we acquired the latter stages of. But I'm still not entirely sure what decides it. Let's have a look and see what happens. Oh! In the World's Fair this time. Is it random? Is it random? I don't know. Because I don't think World's Fair was one of the first ones by any means. So hey, you get to enjoy a culture victory this time. Yeah, I'd love it if it's random. You know, who knows? It's something surprising for me too. Awesome. We get a different video to mark the end of the video. You know, different cutscene. Modern age comes to an end.
One can traverse the world laid out in pavilions for the amusement of the crowd, and still be home for dinner.
Well, I hope you're enjoying your dinner, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a comment below. I'd love to see you again. Until then, all the best. Have a good one.